So it's been a while since we've had any new DLC for Far Cry 6. We had the 3 separate Inside the Mind of the Villains, Vaas, Pagan, and Joseph, but that was nearly a year ago now, so I just assumed they may have been done with DLC for this game. But sort of out of the blue, we got this Lost Between Worlds DLC, and Ubisoft gave me an early access code, so I figured why not check it out. Now personally, and I know a lot of other people wanted to see this as well, I was hoping for an Inside the Mind DLC for Anton Castillo. Since he didn't have a whole lot of screen time in the main game, it would have been nice to flesh out the character a little more like how they did with Vaas, Pagan, and Joseph. In fact, I enjoyed those DLCs more than the main game itself, so that's what I was really hoping for. But instead, they decided to go with one of the more bizarre ideas they could come up with. Now don't get me wrong, Far Cry has always incorporated some weirdness. There was a Far Cry 5 DLC set in Mars, and we had DLCs like Blood Dragon, of course, which still easily remains the best DLC in the series. But what's weird about this DLC is it's set in Yara. It starts with this extraterrestrial meteor crash landing conveniently close to Danny, who is in Yara. Danny for some reason shoots the alien tech, and that brings them into a rift with an alien AI known as Faye. It sounds really bizarre just explaining it, and I don't know, maybe you like that kind of sci-fi alien twist on Far Cry 6, but I've always liked the more gritty and grounded Far Cry. I haven't really been a fan of the more wacky, ridiculous tone they've been going for recently. Like, yeah, I just said I really like Blood Dragon, but that wasn't attached to the main game of Far Cry 3 in any way. You didn't see Jason or Vaas or whatever. Blood Dragon was really its own thing, and it had a very clear tone, leaning into the old school action movie cliches, and it was just a lot of chaotic fun. This DLC, on the other hand, is set shortly after the end of Far Cry 6's main story, and just casually introduces alien technology into a game that was just about joining a resistance and taking down a dictator. I'm sorry, it's just difficult to make that connection and suspend my disbelief. But anyways, all that aside, no spoilers of course, but the whole story behind this DLC isn't really a lot to write home about. It's about Danny and this AI Faye working together to escape this protocol they're trapped in so Danny can return to the real world. The story itself felt really cliche to me. You know, there's the really smart AI who doesn't understand human qualities and emotions, and there's the dumb human, and they've got to work together. It felt very predictable to me. I couldn't get invested in it at all, and a lot of it made me roll my eyes, to be honest.
The data is showing that the human lifespan is too short to make giant strides in technological advancement. I mean, you still communicate verbally, and through devices. How crude.
All of the comedy is either Faye not understanding humans and how stupid we are, or Danny not understanding any of the advanced terminology and just killing things. The story just really didn't do it for me. As for the actual gameplay, it's most of your standard Far Cry 6 gameplay with a little twist. You get all your usual weapons like an AK, MP5, shotgun, sniper, as you loot them through crates in the rifts, and with each weapon you can change the color bullets it shoots. The enemies are all crystallized and color coordinated in either red or blue, and you can change the color of your gun depending on what color the enemy is. So for a blue enemy, you switch it to the color blue to deal damage, and vice versa for red. If you try and shoot the opposite color, it'll do no damage, which the game will constantly remind you of this very basic concept. I get what they were trying to do with this. They wanted to add a little something new for the gunplay to freshen things up a bit, and make the player think before they just start shooting. This is like one of the most basic and generic ways they could have thought of doing that. Shooting a red enemy with red bullets and a blue enemy with blue bullets. Like, come on, you guys could have been a little more creative than that. Again, I'm gonna compare this to Blood Dragon because Blood Dragon had so much creativity with the weapons and enemy types and just the premise in general. This kind of just feels like a very bare bones version of that, which is disappointing. I also thought it was kind of weird that these crystal enemies just had regular blood. It feels like when you kill something that looks like that, there would be some kind of unique substance, but I guess not. I was also sort of hoping for some new takedown animations, but they're just the same ones from the main game. The mission structure of this DLC is designed around rifts, so you go through all these different environments, which always look really good. That's something Ubisoft is almost always consistent with, and there's a lot of variety with them as well. Each rift has its own style and quirk about it, whether it's this massive lightning storm you have to avoid, or a mission completely underwater. Once you reach the end of a rift, you'll get a choice between entering the orange or purple portals. Hey, at least we're getting different colors here. And depending on your choice, it'll take you to a different rift until you eventually enter a rift with a shard in it. There's 5 of these shards which you have to bring back to Faye, and then from there on it's just a loop. Each time you have to take a different path through the rifts to find a new shard, and each time you collect a new shard, you'll earn a new shortcut or piece of gear to speed up the process when going through the rifts you've already been in. I thought it was an interesting concept. It does get a bit repetitive going through some of the same rifts multiple times, but the shortcut tools like the fractal bomb or grappling hook certainly help with that. The rifts were my favorite part about the DLC. They have some cool designs and different obstacles to face. Some of them have puzzles, although they're generally very easy and don't require much thinking. Each rift allows for a fair amount of exploration. You can get some new or slightly upgraded weapons or gadgets by searching around as well, along with the glints, which is the currency. Glints are basically only used to respawn when you die in that rift, so you don't have to start the whole thing over again. It feels like there should have been some form of shop or something where you could buy upgrades and weapons with glint, like how they did with the currency in the Inside of the Mind DLCs, because you do lose your inventory each time you get a new shard, so some form of overarching progression with the weapons would have been nice. Overall, I did have some fun with this DLC. Again, I'm not really a fan of the whole premise or alien simulation. I think it's too much, but Ubisoft loves doing stuff like this now in their games, so oh well. The changes to the gameplay felt very basic, and the whole color-coded system was just not that innovative to me. I thought the different rifts looked great, and I liked the variety, but overall, I was very mixed about this DLC. I didn't love it, I didn't hate it either. It just wasn't as fun and creative as I was hoping for, like what we got in Blood Dragon. The DLC is $20 full price, which to be completely honest, I think is a little much. And what was there wasn't that engaging for me. There's a lot of great DLC out there for other games that are around $20 that not only have more substance to them, but are far more enjoyable. Like The Witcher 3's Blood and Wine, for example, which is probably my favorite DLC of all time, and has more content to it than a lot of games' main stories. Even Far Cry 3 Blood Dragon is only $15, so maybe check that out instead if you haven't. Of course, I'll let you decide if Lost Between Worlds is worth the $20 to you. If you just really enjoy Far Cry 6's gameplay, then I'm sure you'll like this DLC. I really liked the Inside the Mind of the Villains DLCs for how it built and fleshed out some of my favorite characters and villains in the series, but Lost Between Worlds didn't really interest me all that much. I don't think I would have played it if I wasn't given a copy, which again, thank you to the Ubisoft creator team, I appreciate it. But if you get the chance to check out Lost Between Worlds, let me know what you thought about it down in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, I'd appreciate it if you considered leaving a like and subscribing to the channel if you're new. Big thank you to my members for supporting me. If you're interested in joining, the link will be in the description. And other than that, thanks for watching and have a great day, everybody.